right, we are live. Hey, good evening.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to be doing this with you today. Been looking forward to it.
Oh my gosh, me too. It has been almost a whole year
Yeah, that's
since I've
crazy.
seen you. Oh my goodness. What is new? Let's get into
Let's
it, I guess.
see. Oh gosh, I just started a nonprofit. I actually resigned from the school district. So I worked at a school district here as a behavior interventionist. I absolutely loved my job. But I decided this past year I was approved for a nonprofit for a 501c3 called Simply Encourage, where I'm going to be doing family, or where I'm actually already doing family systems coaching, working with families and children, single moms, and nuclear family systems, and trying to provide support and help and encouragement to kind of help launch them into their next um, phase of life, whatever that may be, whether it's healthier outlooks, healthier mindsets, or career changes, or
Mm.
parenting, just whatever the need is. That's what I'm there to meet. So I'm really excited about that. And obviously, always forever, I have a parenting curriculum that goes with that. That I'm
Mm.
going to be launching, and I'm excited about that as well. So thanks for asking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know who you are, and some people know who you are, but maybe there's some people watching right now that are new to our platform. Do you mind? Let's take a step back. Who are you, by the way? What's your name? Where are you? And let's pivot and talk about your book after
Pretend
that.
like we've never met, right?
Yeah.
I am Stephanie Ellison. I'm from Texas, so kind of central Texas, DFW area. Um, and I live in Abilene, Texas now with my husband, and we have four daughters and a dog and a hamster and a bird and a fish and all kinds of little. It's like a zoo here, basically, is what it is. And I'm the author of Always Forever children's book, and I just love my community. I love supporting my community, and then also going out and spreading a word of inspiration to other communities as well, and encouragement. So, yeah.
Nice. And so is that what your book is about, or what is your book about?
My book, so it's called Always Forever, and it is a children's bedtime story. And it's actually for all the parents out there who at bedtime are just like ready for bed. It's a short read, but a lovely read. It is just the sentiment of I love you with an always forever kind of love. There's nothing that you could do that would make me not love you. And it's a
Mhm.
message from a caring adult to a child, any child. Actually, it doesn't say mom or dad in the book because I personally grew up in and out of the system and living with aunts and uncles and grandparents and foster parents and all kinds of living situations. And so I wasn't always with my birth family. And I realized through kind of grieving that what I didn't have, I realized, but you know what, you did have a lot.
Mhm.
You did have a lot of people who cared. And so this book is almost a way of paying it forward to those people who called me their baby. I had teachers that called me their baby, so it's just really a book about, hey, who's that one caring adult in your life that
Mm.
loves you, that read this book with you, that cares about you. And as you grow older, the very last page, spoiler alert, it says, "Wherever you go, near or far, I will love you always forever." And the purpose behind that is as they grow older and go through seasons of change and seasons of heartache and hardship, my hope
Mm.
is that they will look back and go, okay, who is that person if they don't feel loved? Because there are times in our lives where even if we have the best families, we feel lonely or unloved. And maybe not everybody, but there are a lot of people who feel that way. That's why statistics are very high in suicide, and people are just
Mhm.
struggling, and a lot of it is just is that search for love and search for significance and search for somebody who cares. And so really I'm kind of rallying around parents who care or caregivers who care, mothers and
Mhm.
fathers who care. You don't have to be the world's best anything as long as you care and want to
Mm.
care for this child, whoever they are. So I that's kind of what my book is about, and I really hope that you read it. It's very interactive. It has a heart search. It has a page at the end where you as the adult or the caregiver can write a love letter to that child so that as it can become a family heirloom that they take with them in their adult life, and they can read those words even after we're gone to remember
Mhm.
who loved us and who cared about us. So it has a lullaby that goes with it. So there is a lot of interactiveness and a nighttime routine as well. And so my
Mhm.
hope again is just that you're planting these seeds, and as they grow, they'll remember those caring adults, whether it be their parents or teachers or um, family members who took them in during hardship in their family life. And so foster families and things like that too. It's geared towards every child.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's really what it is. And if I miss something, let me know. But I think that kind of covers.
No, yeah, no, you also kind of went into our next question is what was the inspiration of the book? Maybe you can tell us more about just maybe the makeup of the book, starting with the
Absolutely.
little lion on the cover.
Yes. So, okay, first off, I did not intend to write a book, which is how it works sometimes. Authors don't always be like, live their lives going, I think I'm going to become an author. Sometimes it's this
Mm.
inspiration, like you said. So,
Mhm.
what happened is I gave birth to my daughter, and I'm holding her in my arms, and I'm looking back at my life, and I'm realizing, um, the tragedy of growing up in a broken home and with
Mm.
a mother who struggled and battled with addiction and a father that was incarcerated, and I'm just struggling with, and siblings that were all split up, and I was just grieving. Really, my brothers will never get to see my children, and I'm holding my child, and I'm crying, it was probably 3 months of postpartum. And
Mm.
then one day, as I'm holding her and I'm looking at her, I'm like, what a slap in the face. And not that my feelings weren't valid. They totally were valid. But I was like, what a slap in the face to all the people who did care, who did love.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
from that moment forward, I decided that as I'm holding this little baby of mine, that I was going to speak words of like life and love over her. And really the lullaby came first, and then the song, and then I gave birth to another daughter. And
Mhm.
so our youngest daughter, she has this little lion that she's had since birth, and it's
Mm.
it's actually a Cincy lion, but since then we've created little lions that are so cute.
Oh, look at him.
I have a lady that and shout out to Emily McMillan who creates these little lions for me. Um,
Nice.
yes, so my little daughter has this little lion, and every time there was heartache in our family, she would bring that lion to the person going through the grief or the heartache or the hard
Mm.
moment. Since she was little bitty, since she could before she could talk, she would go get her little lion and bring it to you and want you to hold it. And it was just so precious. And so he kind of earned the cover because he captivated our hearts through our youngest daughter.
Wow.
And, we are just we were so blown away with her ability to have empathy. And so, really, he
Mm.
represents his little heart on his chest. He represents the empathy, but also that fierce love um,
Mm.
of not only a caregiver to a child, but a child to a caregiver. And,
Mm.
they don't realize how much love they provide to us when we're in our hard moments either. And my
Yeah.
children have definitely been that. They've also been tough because every kid's tough, right? Parenting is not for
Mhm.
um, and neither is growing up. That's hard too. And so, yeah, that's the little lion is just a sign of affection, love, empathy, and just that fierce, fierce love that'll last through the end of time. So,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And when you were talking about lions, I was thinking about, so for some people, lions equal strength as
Yes.
well. And so I thought, oh wow, how fitting to see a lion
Yeah.
on a children's book cover, and he's like smiling, or she, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's smiling, and it's like always forever. It's kind of like that strength and that bond.
Yes.
And I think, at least for me, children's books, they help kind of create that bond, doing a little night routine, or whenever you can pick up a book and you're reading it with your child. And so I
Yes.
love that. I love that. Was that intentional? Um,
He does represent strength for sure. And I think the beauty of it is, the simplicity of what love can do.
mm,
Love is, first off, it knows no boundaries.
mhm.
It crosses all generations. It crosses all cultures. Um, Everyone loves, and it may look differently, but everybody has the ability to love or be loved. And so
Mm,
um, the lion does represent strength for sure. He was definitely that was another reason that I feel like he kind of held us together, because like I said, parenting is
mm,
hard, raising kids is hard, figuring out who you are as a parent. Or I'm also a bonus mom, so a step parent,
mm.
um, as a wife, and I know, like, I have many single mom friends and single dad friends, and there takes some courage and strength to be that kind of vulnerable,
Yeah.
to say, you know what? I mean, love takes vulnerability, and vulnerability takes courage and strength. And so it definitely represents that hard and soft. I definitely
Mhm.
agree with that. I think that he's a precious little guy. You can name him whatever you want. I've heard a lot of people say
Yeah.
it's the Lion of Judah,
Oh my
uh,
gosh. Yeah.
little
I
all
love
these
it.
nicknames. Yeah.
So I know there's a lot. You probably always get this question, like, how do you become an author? How do you become a children's book author? Do you want to share how your writing and your publishing process was for you?
Absolutely. Okay, so my experience was incredible because here's how you become an author. You have inspiration and you call Aurelia. That's how you become an author. I actually had said I have this children's book idea to a fellow community member, and he said, I know the right person. And he told me Aurelia Wynn with Wynn Publications, and gave me your
Mm,
contact. And I contacted you. I did not know the first step, second step, third step, and so
mhm,
there there's so many different ways from what I've learned through you. You can do any way, but for me, it was important that, because I do public speaking, it was important that I get to take that book with me, and so being able to do hybrid publishing was really
mhm.
important. I selected my illustrator. I actually looked at, I think, what do we look at, 4 or 5 illustrators,
Yeah.
and had them all submit like a piece of work to me based on what I shared that I was looking for. I wanted watercolor. I knew that. So you can be as specific and detailed as you want, or you can be,
Mhm.
you know, I don't really care. I don't have an idea. But what I did was I had my book written, and obviously it didn't have pictures. So I took those pictures that I actually, I wish I had it with me. I don't have it with me right now. But I made a storyboard. That's what you instructed me. I think you instructed me make a
Mhm.
storyboard. So really, it's not a board. You can do a board, but what I did is I just got a journal that didn't have
Mhm.
lines in it, and I just drew out the page, like kind of how I envisioned it. It looks totally different than I drew out the pages, because I draw stick figures
Mhm.
and not real lions. So it doesn't look as good, but it actually gives the idea of
Mhm.
what I wanted it to look like. And we even moved some of the pages around from what I originally envisioned, because
Mm,
you want to have so many pages, and some print companies won't allow you to do less than so many pages, and
mhm.
so we did it perfectly. And and then got the design down, and that was just beautifully done. The illustrations were just perfect. I had to go back with the illustrator a couple of times because we were really trying to get it. So I would show my publisher and she would say, okay, which is you, but I'm talking
Uh-huh.
to
You're
sorry.
telling
I would
them.
show her, okay, what do you think about this? Is it too much, too little? Because I really wanted all children to be represented in my book, or as many as possible. So I
Mhm.
have children of different races, but I also wanted to be very mindful of, okay, I do we want original, hair, or what do I want it to look like? If I'm not doing my own culture only, what does it look like to represent other races and ethnicities? So I had to seek a lot of guidance in that because I wanted to be mindful that every child at least had the ability to see either themselves represented or one of their friends, because I couldn't represent every single race and ethnicity, but I do feel really proud of what I was able to represent. And so there's children with disabilities, children, boys and girls, and father figures, male figures that are softer and gentle, so gender role reversals in there, just to show the nurture. Because for me, the reason that's in there was because I had always seen the male figure as like a mean, hard person. And
Mhm.
so and it wasn't until I met my husband really that I could saw a like a softer father figure. I did
Mhm.
live with a family my senior year, and I definitely had an incredible dad that year, and then throughout the years afterwards, that kind of helped me see that. But even he was a firefighter and just a little more on the hard side. He's actually softened up in his old age, and if he watches this, he's going to see me say that I love you. You're not soft, but you've softened up a whole lot. Um, but just really, wanted to represent that. I wanted to represent a lot of different things. And then also there are two characters in the book that are my brothers. So both of my
Mhm.
brothers have died, one by suicide and the other in a tragic accident. But he also had struggled with addiction, and we believe that that wouldn't have happened had he not struggled with that. So anyway, they both are gone forever. And so this was also a way of, you know, loving them and bringing honor to them and saying, they were here, they were real, and I
Mhm.
love them. And it was my way of, honoring their legacy for their own children because they had children as well. So,
That's great. That's great. I always tell people that I feel like books live on forever. And so I
yeah.
think that's a beautiful way to incorporate them into your book and just the other, the diverse characters and the representation of, I call them differently abled people. I learned that term not
Yes.
too long
Oh,
ago.
I
So I've
like
been like,
that.
oh, okay, differently abled.
I
I
like
like that. I like that. So I've been saying that pretty regular now. So I'm like, okay, I like that. But yeah,
I love that. Differently
yeah,
able.
differently abled.
I love
Because I'm like,
that.
that
I heard that. And then just recently too, I've heard a term. So I used to say, like, I work with at-risk, children and things like that. And
Mhm.
I've heard recently that someone referred to our at-risk youth, which I always said at risk of not reaching their full potential
Mm.
if they didn't get like those positive, caring adults pouring into them. And someone said they're at promise. And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
well, that's pretty interesting. I like that. So
Mm.
I've been chewing on that too. So yeah, I love that. These
Yeah, yeah,
those
I
different, yeah.
like it. And so, it's so funny. Stephanie has been since my friend recommended you to me, all of the people that have come after you, it's been so wonderful. So many children's books coming in the near future. I'm actually working on one. Shout out to Miss Robin Bird.
Yes,
Working on
I'm
uh
so excited for her.
her children's book coming soon. Yep, yep, yep. I was talking to her a little bit earlier, so shout out to her if she's watching this.
She's
And I'm
incredible.
just like you said, and I think many of us, struggle with this. And you and I are even working on a book together about seeking connections and
Oh yes.
relationships. And this was totally unplanned, you guys, but we can go there just really
It's
quick
okay.
and talk about it. But man, sometimes you don't even realize
Yeah.
how many people you have in your corner, and it could be anxiety, it can be stress, it can
Mhm.
be these moments where you're just under
Well,
so
and
much
even
pressure.
yeah, and even like mistakes lead
Yeah.
people apart from one another. And it's like everybody makes mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. In fact, we learn more
Mhm.
from our mistakes than our successes. And majority of our life, for the most part, we learn from those mistakes. That's how we reach success is by making mistakes. And so sometimes that
Mhm.
also creates that anxiety and stress. But then, you know, we move forward and we
Yeah.
go on, and we become better,
Mhm.
instead of bitter. One of my dear friend Roy, he said that today in a conference that we were speaking at for Region 14. He said, it's our responsibility. We can't help what happened to us in the past, but it's our
Yeah.
responsibility to become better rather than bitter in our future. And so, he was just kind of pushing people forward to be better in their lives, than carrying that baggage and those mistakes and all that stuff. I'm going to leave that at the door, and I'm going to rise up and be better
Mhm.
the next moment, not even waiting until tomorrow. I'm going to be better now,
That's
You
good.
know what I
That's
mean?
good. I heard someone say they give themselves 19 seconds to feel their
Feel the
feelings or whatever,
feelings. Yep.
and then they're like, "I gotta let this crap go
Gotta
because
let it
it
go.
does not feel good." And I'm like, "Okay." I mean, I was giving myself like 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe even for the rest of the day. I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
just gonna wallow and be how I want to be, feel my feelings, and then tomorrow I'll wake up and it'll be so much better." But then I started hearing about that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's true. You do have control
Yeah.
over your time, but also at the same time being mindful of not like
Oh,
repressing
yeah.
your emotions. Like actually, okay, let's deal with it. Don't just move past it because then you deal with it later. And then that's a
Yes.
whole another story.
Well, and it's beautiful that you say that because I think a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to just be human. We think we, have to
Mm-hmm.
be something we're not, first off. And it's like, no, this is who I am. I'm going to struggle with this for a moment and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll let it go. And, or maybe I don't let it go. I'll give it room and I'm hoping I can let it go. But sometimes you
Yeah.
just can't because it hurts too bad. But you know, then a couple maybe give it a little bit of time. But if you do it quickly and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go. Every time it resurfaces, you just say, I let that go. It has no power over me anymore. And I think that's so yes, we want to validate yourself for sure, but you
Mm-hmm.
also have to go, you know what, that has no power over me like it used to. If you've struggled with anything in your parenting, in your business, in helping others, like it's like, okay, well, I made a mistake there. Oops. Instead of dwelling on it, because I used to be a dweller too. I used to really struggle. But what I see, even now in my professional life, I see anything that hurt me, even over the past couple of years, anything that's hurt me, I've seen it as an opportunity to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, or anything that I've done to cause hurt, I've seen it as an opportunity to grow and be better. Not better than anybody, just a better version of myself. And
Mm-hmm.
so, just there are always opportunities to grow. That's what the business of people is messy and sometimes
Yeah.
chaotic. The business of parenting is messy and chaotic, so we just have to like let things go. And every time it resurfaces, it doesn't mean it disappears. We just have to say, okay, I let that go. I see it,
Mhm.
I recognize it, I can sit with it for just a moment, but I'm going to let this go. It's not going to eat me up today.
Yeah.
I've got things to do, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and I will say this, if you wanna write it down and put it into a book, let me
Oh, yes, yes, do
turn your
that.
pain into a published book and tell us how you got over that thing and let it go.
Yes, yeah.
But I was just thinking about one of the books that I read, recently, or I haven't read it yet, it's not written, but, an
I
author
love
was
that.
telling me
I
I'm
haven't
putting
read it
it
yet.
out there. I haven't read it yet, but I'm putting it out there that it will be written. But they were talking about it from someone who had seen your book. So we're working on a book. Missy Lane Palmer, shout out to her.
Oh,
We're
yes.
working on
Oh,
two
yay.
children's books, and she
Oh, go,
recommended
Miss
me to one of
Palmer.
her friends. Yeah, and I was talking to her about it, and we were talking about just the pain that she's witness, and so she's writing a book. But that was one of the things that she said was, writing this book and writing these things down was so like cathartic, and it was so
Yes,
healing for her.
therapeutic.
And
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm all about that, turning
Yes.
your pain into
Purpose.
a
Pain into
purpose,
purpose.
yeah, and into a published book even. And so one of the things that I did mention to her, because I know for a lot of us when we're writing, about our own pain and our own stories, we can just get caught up in the details or get caught up in just telling it how it happened. But one thing that I told her was, when you're writing the story, make sure that you remember the structure of a story, that it has a clear
Yes.
beginning, it has a clear middle, and it has a clear end, and that you're using things like creative hooks to keep us in the zone with you
Mhm.
as you go on from chapter to chapter. And you can use those things because it can be really hard to think about it and stuff like that. And so I said, use those things to snap you out of it and get
Mhm.
you back into the story. And that's how you're going to write a killer story. So I wanted to say that while we're talking about all of this, that if someone's watching this and they're thinking about, oh, I got a story, I want to tell about my life story. Okay, absolutely do it, but do it with a structure. And that structure is there to help you
Yes.
get in the zone, but then get you out of it and get you grounded and help make sure you're
Yes.
writing a wonderful book that people can follow as well.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
and okay, so I'm gonna plug this here. Pain to purpose to published. So let's go. Pain to purpose to published. Yeah. And I'm gonna be looking at my camera for a second. You know who you are, all my friends out there who've been saying, I want to write a book too. I've got this book. You go write that book. You go write that book. We know you want to do it. Just go for it. That was another thing.
Mm,
Cost. A lot of people ask about that. And I know
yeah.
you were asking earlier the process. I want to tell people, do not be afraid to ask your closest people to
Mm-hmm.
pour into and invest in your book. And I actually have a page at
Mm-hmm.
the very end of my book. So whenever you get it, you'll see it. And it's a list of names um, for the ones that wanted to, didn't mind me putting them in there. And those are all people who gave money so that I could publish my book. Some gave
Mm-hmm.
$10, some gave $5. Little girl gave $1. Some gave 100, some gave 1,000. And so I was able to raise enough money to have the illustrations that I wanted. I was able to raise enough money to have the publishing that I wanted. I was able to raise enough money to get the design and get copies of my book. And so I was able to do that through the help of people who care about me. And I
Yeah.
had doubts that I could do it, but I got creative with it. So if you need resources, utilize it. Don't be afraid. Like I said, vulnerability, it takes courage. And Brene
Mhm.
Brown says it best. So uh, by the way, hashtag Brene Brown in here somewhere. She can promote too.
Okay, I hope she sees this.
Just yeah, but you know, it takes so much vulnerability to ask
Mhm.
sometimes. But honestly, this would have never happened. Like my limiting beliefs, I struggled. But I had a few things that I was like, I'm going to get creative with this. I sang a song for people if they donated a certain amount of money, and I did. My children participated in that too, and we did these little boxes where people could. I think it had like 100 boxes, and I've seen people do it for mission trips. So I was like, well, I'll try it for my
Mhm.
book. And it was labeled 1 through 100, and they basically pick a number that they want to sponsor. So if they pick one, that's $1, all the way to 100, that's $100, and they can sponsor. And it could be something that means something to them. Like for example, this year I've been married 16 years. So I might donate $16, or I have a senior,
Mm.
so I might donate, $18 because she'll be 18. So it could be really creative and specific like that. And don't be afraid to think
Mhm.
outside the box on getting your funding, because it doesn't just have to be a loan out of the bank. You're not going to fail if you try.
Mhm.
The only way to fail is not trying at all. It may not work out exactly how you want it. I had to front a little bit of money, but I didn't have to get a loan for all of it because I got creative with the funding. And so
Mhm.
I did put in some skin in the game. So I paid for some of it, but I also just I encourage you and implore you to seek people that tell them your idea, tell them what you want to do, tell them who your audience is and why you want to speak to
Mhm.
that audience, and just go do it. Don't think about it too long, because then you'll talk yourself out of it, because your brain is actually
Mhm.
created to keep you safe from harm, and it thinks you're going to die if you get embarrassed. So uh, for
Yeah.
some reason, but really, just go do it. Go do it. Go
Mhm.
live that
Yeah.
life. We're not here forever. Let's leave our legacy in books. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I will plug in, I do offer payment plans, and so I had a
Yes.
girl the other day tell me, "Oh, I wanna work with you." I sent her my packages over, and she said, "Okay, I'm gonna need a payment plan." I said, "Okay, the most I can do is 8 months." She said, "Okay." I said, "And we can even break down those 8 months into, like, 16 payments biweekly." And so that's how she's
Absolutely.
doing it, but even then, she's like, "What else can I do?" I said, "Well, we can fundraise." And so I sent her some of those ideas, some of those things that you mentioned. And so
Mhm.
she said, okay, okay. So she's working on kind of her financial plan to be able to do it. And so, absolutely, just give it a shot. But the first thing is
Absolutely.
writing it, writing
Yeah.
the book.
Yes.
When you have a book idea, it's great to reach out to me or any other publishers out there, me. But we're gonna need, we're gonna need,
Really?
I'm gonna need, I'm gonna need to see the written work. Need to see the written work, and so it's just about taking it from a dream and bringing it into reality, and that's the that's going to be the only way to do it, is to actually write it down. And with
Yes.
technology these days, if you have a phone with like the ability to do voice to text, you can use your
That's
phone
awesome.
and just sit there and speak out your story. It doesn't have to be perfect
Yeah.
at first, it just has to be written. I've
Yeah.
worked with people who had just gotten out of prison, even,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they try to submit a like their what is it called, typewriter, typewritten, they use a typewriter,
Mhm.
and sent me their stuff like that, and I was like, God bless you, but I'm gonna have to send this back. I need a digital copy. And one of the things that he said that he did was he just kind of read his manuscript into a voice to text thing and then sent it over like that.
That's
And
awesome.
so also be mindful that that's kind of the way to do it now these days. No one's shipping anything, no one's getting,
Right.
most people are not getting submissions in
Yeah.
their mailbox or PO box. It's all done digitally, so it has to be by computer. And there's a lot of free tools out there to type your books,
Yes.
get your books written, and sent over to a publisher. And so
Yeah.
it's possible. It's possible. If there's a will, there is a way
Either
for
way.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what's next then? You've done so much. We've talked about so much. What's next for you?
Yeah. Well, so I actually have been hired. I've actually been working with them for a while now, but with Impact Truth, which they are a speaking agency. And so I do speaking for them. Like I said, this morning we were speaking with Region 14 McKinney-Vento liaisons, and then I'm speaking for a human trafficking event, and then or anti-human trafficking event, and then I'm speaking for Region 7 in the school districts. Really, if people need a speaker in your church or your school, feel free to reach out, impacttruth.com. And you can reach out to me, simplyencourage.org. But I go and I share my story, and I'm doing workshops on, they're going to be parenting workshops. The ones that I have now is a kindness campaign, and then coaching and things like that. So, that's really what's next as far as what I'm doing personally. And then I have a partner here with my nonprofit, and we are working boots on the ground kind of thing here in our local area to work with families and children. So that's really what's next for us. And we've applied for 3 or 4 grants, actually 4. So pray
Nice.
for those. You can just go ahead and start praying, and pray that we can receive some of those funding dollars, because, like I said, it takes a lot of
Yeah.
strength and courage to ask, and so we've asked for what we needed, and So hopefully we get that so that we can serve our community, continue to serve our community, because we've both been doing that for years already. But now we have the structure and the programming to actually do it officially through a nonprofit. So we're really excited about that. It's not just passion and pursuit. It's, it's with a purpose. So
Mhm.
yeah, Simply Encourage is kind of getting its feet off the ground, and I'm really proud of that. And our little logo for Simply Encourage is also our little lion, which is
Oh,
really cool.
yay.
Yeah. So he's just making his way around the world. And we're hoping that that will translate into a state program where they will adopt our program
No.
once it's solidified and out there. And then we're hoping that we can really reach children and families across our nation, because the statistics are not great for
Mhm.
children in and out of foster care, for children who are homeless. The statistics are not great. And I want to
Mhm.
see better statistics. I want to see children not just surviving, we want to see them thriving. We want to
Mhm.
see families that are in addiction learn healthy coping and learn how to move forward in a healthy direction. So we're really excited about the wraparound support, our volunteer teams, everything that we're doing to ensure that our community is stronger now than ever before. So
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I think
thank
that answers the next question. I was gonna say, well, what else? So that's what's next. Anything else that you want to share?
Let's see. I'm so proud of my children. They are all just incredible. I've got one that's going to college. She's a little nursing pursuit, or
Oh,
not a little
yay.
nursing. She's pursuing nursing. She just got into Texas Tech. We're really proud of her. Um, Go Raiders. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Guns up or what? No, maybe that's, I don't know. I've got to learn. Sorry. Um, and then our almost 18-year-old senior, she's going into her senior year this year. We're really proud of her.
Wow.
She's doing marching band. And Molly and Willow, they're going to third grade and sixth grade. And
Wow.
we're just, Molly and Willow actually started their own little businesses, which
I saw
that was
that.
actually inspired by your little Gia doing her
Oh
little
my
business.
goodness.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we encourage our kids like you
Mhm.
do, like to think outside the box. And so
Mhm.
actually Molly made these little these bracelets right here.
How
And
cute.
she sold them at a fair this past weekend, and she's doing workshops on how to teach other kids to do it. And again, that's
Wow.
teaching coping strategies.
Mhm.
And it's something to kind of keep them busy and things that they can use
Mhm.
to earn money too. And then Willow is making artwork and bookmarks and things like that. So she's
Wow.
just there. That's kind of what's not. I mean, we're just parenting and in the throes of
Mhm.
our own businesses. And of course, my husband, he's doing an incredible job with Hendrick Home for Children. Shout out to them and Ben Ritchie Boys
Yeah.
Ranch for all the
Oh my
amazing work
goodness.
that they do in our community as well. And so our hopes at Simply Encourage is to just wrap around and be another team support for those organizations who are doing a fabulous job at
Mhm.
helping our community, instead of scaring them or creating tension and struggle. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fabulous. You guys are doing so, so, so great. And I do want to share about that. Just parents who have these creative children, get them to
Yes.
work, support them.
Yes.
I know Stephanie believes in I absolutely do believe in it as well. And I will plug this in. So one of the newest ventures that I have started is a literary magazine.
That's
And on the
awesome.
back cover, yeah, I'm so excited. On the back cover, it's going to feature some of Gia's work. I told her today she is my creative director for what we're calling Lit Kids, which just stands for Literature
Oh,
Kids.
I love
And
that.
so while she's going to be featured on the first issue, we're looking for more creative children to feature, whether it be their artwork, their
Oh,
business,
yes.
poetry, or their little short story, or like even a little comic strip. There's so much, but of course, I'm going to put my child on there first and let her kind of
Absolutely.
help design it. And then from there, we're going to be soliciting other parents with creative children and
I'm in.
Okay, and so
Okay.
that's what I was getting at. But I'm also telling other people like we want
I
to
know.
see your kiddos, and it's one of
Absolutely.
those things. It's a literary magazine, so it's not really for kids and it's not really for teens. But there is a section in there because I'm such a family person. There's
Yes.
man, I couldn't do some of the things that I do today without the support of my immediate
Mhm.
family and my extended family and the authors that I work with, and that also includes their kids and their
Mhm.
husbands or their wives. And it's just, it goes beyond just us individually. So I'm like, there's no
Absolutely.
way I could create something else and not include my child and not include teenagers and
Absolutely.
have other people share their family. So it's more of a family literary magazine. And so
Yeah.
I
I
definitely
love
wanted
that.
to shout that out as well. Yeah. So I'm excited. We're doing some really cool things.
Well, and what a
Yeah.
cool way. So I'll encourage parents even further with that. What a cool way to show your kids that you are, number one, a big fan of their work, and
Mm,
number two, that you support them and you believe in them, regardless whether that's their job that they do forever or the thing that they do. And it's a way to acknowledge them. I still have this picture. It's an 8 by 10 that my teacher gave me when I was in the seventh grade, that she hung on the wall in the school, and it was all these nice things. She just basically wrote all these nice things about me,
mm,
and I still have that picture, and I'm 38, so if that says
wow.
anything. And but it meant a lot to me to feel like what who I was at that point was valuable. And so I
Mhm,
think in a way, putting your children out there like that is a way to show them, hey, I'm proud of you, I support you, I believe in you, I value
mhm.
you. And look what you did, it just brings in that sense of pride, and encouragement. So how awesome, how awesome.
Yeah, and I also thought, books last forever. People don't really throw away books, and I mean, it's a literary magazine. It's not really a book, but it kind of is. But I thought, put it on the back cover. That way, it could even be like kind of like a memory for families to
Mhm.
keep. To me, a literary magazine is
Yeah,
like something you put on your end table, your coffee table, and if you have your kid featured on the back cover, that can even be
oh yeah,
something. I know parents are so proud. The other day I met a guy, he was so proud of his daughter being on the gymnastics team, and he just talked about this for like 30 minutes, and I can only
I
see wow, like 20 times, and he just was going on and on and on.
love it.
But
Oh,
I
yay.
understood he was such a proud dad of his child. And even I was like, well, does she do artwork? Can you take pictures of it? We can maybe put it on like in my literary magazine. But I thought this is also
Absolutely.
something for families to have like as a keepsake, and you just keep that. And when they get
Oh
older,
yeah.
or even as they get older, it could just be
Yeah.
something that they can look back on. Because when we first started, we said, books last forever. You can think about
Yeah.
all of the authors that you read now, and maybe some of them are living and maybe some of them are not. A lot of them are
Right.
not. One of the most popular books, the Bible, has a lot of writers in it. All of them are not.
Absolutely.
I mean, depending on how you feel,
Yeah.
maybe are not living.
Right. Well,
Um,
C.S. Lewis and yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. And so,
so incredible.
why can't I feel like people who are still alive, you still have the opportunity to make a legacy and leave a
Yes.
legacy with the book. Even
Yeah.
if, your family is the only one that buys it. Well, now your family has an author in the family, and that
Yes.
can be something that's so exciting, for your family to have is to
Right.
have a published author there.
Absolutely. Well, and
So,
and you're right. I mean, even the magazines that we're published in, we keep them, and I share them
mhm,
at my book tables. I mean, I was published in several magazines, Buckner Today and Abilene Living and Abilene Scene, and I was published in all these magazines that Love What Matters, which is an article online, but it was a big
mm,
article online, and so
mhm.
I print those and I put them at my book table in case people are interested in what I'm doing or what I've done in the past, then
Yeah.
it's all there. So they're welcome to pick it up and look at it and, leave it right back there. But it's something that also, you know, provides just extra credit for what you're doing, your hard work. And
Mhm.
I think it's really sweet that you're wanting to recognize children and writers. I think that's really awesome.
Mhm.
That's really
Yeah. And so about your book, where can it be purchased if we are interested in
Yes.
getting it?
So obviously, Win Publications, you can get it through there. I will always throw that out first. It's on Amazon. It was actually number one on Amazon, which was really cool. It's not number one now, but you can go make it number one if you want to
Okay.
go in there and purchase it today, or purchase 10 copies if you want, for all your friends and anybody having babies and all that. It's a great baby shower gift. Just throwing that out there too. And you can purchase my book at actually, if you're in Abilene, Texas Star Trading has it.
Nice.
Moose Mountain Coffee has it, and 7-in-1. And then also, you can get it Ingram Sparks pretty soon, and that's good. Or is it? No, it's going to be on a bunch of different distributors. That's distributor. Sorry, I'm trying to remember all the names, but it'll be Barnes and Noble, all that stuff. I still am working through all of the different sites, but those are like the number 1, 2, 3 that you can get them from, and then in person as well. So
nice. Any last words before we get off? We've been on for almost an hour, so that's been good. We had a lot to talk about today.
Awesome. Well, recently one of our pastors at our church shared another pastor's message, and it's just resonated with me. And so I just want to say this to all of the parents and spouses and everybody out there. Treat your fellow neighbors don't treat people as their history, treat them as their destiny. And our destiny, we were all destined for greatness. And so treat the people around you with greatness, because they deserve that. And even if they're having a really bad day, love them and treat them. How can I serve? How can I serve my community? How can I serve the people around me? So treat people not as their history, but as their destiny. And I thank you, Pastor Randy Turner, for sharing that the other day, and Leaf Heartland for writing that, for quoting it. It's something that's resonated with my speeches and everything lately. So, I think that that's what people did for me. They treated me not as my history, but as my destiny. So that's kind of what I want to leave you guys with. Remember, we're all destined for greatness. I truly believe that. Doesn't mean we're going to have great days every day, but we're all destined for greatness. And go write that book.
Yeah.
Take that pain and turn it into publish.
Yeah. And that's good. Wow, we don't need any more. You guys have a lot to think about. If you're just tuning in, the replay will be up shortly. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for your time.
You're welcome. I love you. Love you guys.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.